Today we're doing something a bit different than the misadventures in gardening. We're taking the results of our misadventures in gardening, where we've actually produced some vegetables and harvested them, and doing a misadventures in cooking. We've got okra sitting here in front of us. Now, okra has been a really good summertime vegetable. A lot of the vegetables in the garden that were doing great in the spring, not doing so hot now that we're in the thick of a very hot Florida summer. And so we're going to take the okra that has been doing phenomenal and prepare this in our second favorite way to eat it. The first favorite way is obvious. Everybody loves fried okra. We're not doing fried okra. We're going to skip out on the breading, the fried stuff, the stuff that makes it so yummy. Okra has a really good flavor on its own. And so we're going to use a very minimal set of ingredients here, get the cut up okra seasoned up, and we're going to put it in the oven and roast it. So we'll have some roasted okra and take a look at what the end result is there. Now I'm going to put the recipe up on the screen for you as we proceed through preparing this food, because we have only about, I don't know, not a lot here. We typically work with 2 pounds of okra from the store, and this is far less than that. So we've pared down our recipe for that, but take a note of what the recipe is on screen. We're going to give you the link over to the blog so that you can grab the full-blown recipe there and work with it yourself. Much healthier way to do it, and it still tastes so good. All right, let's bring the camera on in and get this stuff prepared. As you can see, this is not a super complicated recipe in front of us. We've got the okra to cut up, and we've got a minimal amount of ingredients that we're going to mix into it once it is cut up in the bowl. We've got our avocado oil, and yes, we prefer to cook with avocado oil for this. We've got some seasoned salt in there, some garlic powder in there as well. Let's bring that on in. There you go, garlic powder and seasoned salt. Again, we'll put a recommendation on the amount of seasoning you need via the blog post that we're going to link to. And then we put a very specific amount of black pepper. You put about as much as looks right, and then move on. Very important step before we get to cutting all this up, preheat the oven to 400 degrees so that it's ready to go as soon as you're done cutting and mixing. And with that, let's get to cutting. Now, you'll notice my years and years and years of training in the International Chef Academy in Paris, or wherever that is, that I have a very official technique here. I've lined these all up, and I'm going to cut them to save time and to show my incredible culinary skills. Please note that the tops of these have some spiky, pokey things on them. Again, breaking out my Bill Nye science terms there. So be careful if you're working with the top. We don't want to get little invisible, pokey, unpleasant okra things into our fingers. The other thing that is kind of like ew ick about okra is that it can get pretty slimy as you're cutting it up. I have learned to get over that. It really freaked me out at first, but the taste is worth it. So we move on. We cut our okra up, not too thin, but not too thick either. See how it's sticking? It's that slime. It's that slime that's at work. Keep my fingers clear of it. Hopefully keep my fingers clear of the knife too. Get this stuff all cut up. And yes, we're even going to use some of these tips in here, because why not? Here we go, first bunch. Moving on. And we're almost there. You see that? There's a little bit of slime coming off of that one. That was just not good. Now, if you look at that one okra on the far end, I think that one may have sat in the fridge a little too long. It's recommended that it's only in the fridge for a few days, 4 to 5 days, and that one might have been in there. It might have been one of our first okra that we harvested, and we've had to harvest a couple every couple days. So we might work out that one at the very end. Good recommendation there. When you're storing the okra, you want to put it all in a Ziploc bag, seal it, and keep it in the fridge for about 4 or 5 days to keep it nice and fresh, and then prepare it. This one on the end, yeah, I think that one hung out in there a little too long. Don't really want to cook with that one. So we're gonna weed that one out and cook the rest. Now that we've got it prepared, let's get all of the tops of the okras out of the mix. go. Get these off to the side. And get our disgusting old okra out of there as well, because, yeah, it's old. And the rest of these are going to get put into, oh, looks like we had a couple of them that got old on us. This is part of the problem with not having a high yield that's all ready to go at the same time. When you've only got a couple of plants, you're kind of working with what you've got, especially as we are experimenting. And these are our misadventures in gardening as well as cooking. So we scoop these up, put them into our bowl. Again, super awesome culinary ninja skills here. And I'm going to bring this in close. Look at that. It's just, why? Why does okra have to be so slimy? But the slime is gone once you cook it, I promise. It's really good. Okay, we've got all the okra in the bowl. Now we're going to go ahead and drizzle the avocado oil over top. You could just dump it in, but I mean, saying drizzle and making it slow is a more cool thing to do, I think. So, you know, it is what it is. And we're going to put the seasoned salt and the garlic powder in there as well. We'll sprinkle it on to kind of more evenly distribute it, and then we're going to mix it all in. And then, again, super specific amount of black pepper, just whatever looks right. Kind of have to play with an experiment. There we go. We have put all the ingredients in. Let's mix that all together. We've now got the okra cut up, put in the bowl, all the ingredients mixed in. We're ready to put it spread out across this really, I was informed before recording this that because we're using this for this video, I am now on the hook for buying my wife a new pan. This one has seen a lot of battles and gone through a lot, but it does the trick quite well. Nice air bake pan. But we're going to get the okra laid out and just kind of spread across this thing, flattened out so that it's all going to cook nicely and evenly. We're going to let it cook for about 20 minutes. So you'll want to set your timer once your oven has reached, again, preheated to 400 degrees. And we spread these things out and let them cook for 20 minutes, and then they should be at the proper consistency. We're all seasoned and ready to go. Now, like I said, we're working with far less than we normally do. We normally have 2 pounds of okra spread across this whole thing. And even with the few that we had to weed out a couple that, those were our first ones, and sadly we didn't quite get to them on time. That's okay. We've still got plenty here to make a good little snack. Let's get it in the oven. Our 20 minutes is up and our roasted okra has come out of the oven. Now, one thing I'll note here is that I tend to say misadventures in gardening and misadventures in cooking because my wife insists on not being in the camera. She's pretty content and happy with me to be the one making a fool of myself. That is why I say misadventures in cooking. If she were doing this and any other thing, it would be wonderful, no question about it. With me having been the one to prepare it and all that, we don't really know what we're getting into here. But we're going to go ahead and come on really close so you can see what it looks like. As you can see, that turned out quite nicely. It all cooked down. We are ready to taste it. It came out of the oven sizzling, and as I stab into it, yeah, it's got a little bit of firmness, but it's softer now and it's ready to be eaten. Let's give it a shot. Moment of truth. First taste of homemade, homegrown okra roasted in the oven. That is awesome. And suddenly, all those thousands and thousands of dollars in culinary school in Paris have paid off. If you want to grow your own okra and are looking to get into it, most recommendations are to grow about 6 okra plants per person in the family. That's a lot. And we kind of started out in a phased approach. Planted a couple plants here, a couple plants there. And so that's why our yield has been a little lighter. But they are growing well, they are producing well. And if you plan ahead, get at least 6 plants per person in the family, you should have plenty of okra as you grow them throughout the summer. Again, thanks for watching. Hope we'll see you on the next Misadventures in Cooking.